Hello and welcome. April Cox here with an awesome interview of one of my favorite debut authors, Mary Alice Burt. And you are going to love this lady.
And April, I am so grateful for you giving me this time for us.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to have you here. It was such a pleasure to work with you, and congratulations on your debut book that is now an Amazon bestseller.
Yeah.
So that's a huge deal. So I get to celebrate that with you. Mary Alice, you have a very interesting background. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you came about into this author world, writing children's books?
My life has been a total surprise to me. At age 49, and that was many years ago, the Lord, I was supernaturally unemployed. And then he said, become a nanny. I didn't even know there was such thing as a nanny. But immediately I said yes. And he said to me, I want you to make deposits in children's hearts from which they can withdraw the rest of their life. Now, I didn't know how to do that, but he put something in me and it came out. So now, as far as this book is concerned, this little kid has nestled in my heart over 20 years. And
I love Little Kid.
I would just get up in the morning and have my coffee and sit with the Lord. And sometimes I could sense this little kid, so I'd start typing. I never expected to do anything with it. Until now, fast forward 2023, the Lord said, publish that book. I said, yes. I didn't know what I was in for. And so I thought it was one book. He wants a 3-book series. And so I began going and figuring out what he wanted and discovering it as I went forward.
You have a lot of experience with kids as a nanny. Tell us a little bit about how that shaped.
I don't, because I literally knew nothing. And in fact, at one point, because he did a remarkable thing in one home, and I said, how did you do that? And he said, your slate was blank, and it was, but your relationship with me was in place, so I just read on your slate. And he knows how to reach into a child's heart and give them what they need. And mostly it's just love when they know they're loved.
You said something to me at one point. We were chatting during this process of updating your book, and you said, I dealt with children's hearts, not their behaviors. And that was really profound to me. I thought, if we get their hearts right and we can have that connection with kids, and that's what Little Kid is all about too, is about connection, right? It's connection with our children, but also a connection with God, which I just love. That at the core of this book is simplicity. So tell us a little bit about the story. Tell us about the simple story that you're trying to get out there. God, I want to know you.
How about I give you a taste?
Yeah, I love that. So
there's
1 second.
There, but
there you go. Love it.
Okay. Let me show you these pictures. He's sitting on his front porch. See, Mom and Dad work, so he spends a lot of time sitting on his front porch. If there be a God, I wonder what he's like. I wonder if he likes little kids. Is there any way of knowing? And who's going to tell a little kid like me before I gets done growing? If there be a God, could I really know him? Second page. I wonder, other kids, are you wondering like me? Wondering about God, that is. First, I gotta find out if he's real. And if he is, I'd like to be knowing him, maybe like a best friend. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out.
I love that simple, beautiful way that you introduce God into the heart of children, and how this little kid goes on the search to try to find God. And you've been getting some great feedback from parents and grandparents. Is there any that have stood out to you?
I could
tell
me about that, but let me set this up. so you can understand. I'm not just promoting a book. Why these reviews mean so much to me, because it's one thing for me to sit and try to follow the leader in my heart and type what he wants typed, but I don't know how it's going to land in another heart. I have no way of knowing. And let's see, in fact, let me talk about, a couple people talk about the adults. One lady said, and I would guess she's no longer blonde. She's gray haired. Thanks, Mary Alice. I'm not a child anymore, but I needed this message just the same. And another adult said, oh, she said, nurturing our children's spirit nature and deepening our own in the process.
I love it. There was another one that I saw. It said, "This is a God experience."
Yes.
And this is a gift from God. And that's how I read the story with my granddaughter, Kyrie, and she really got it. She really got it. She really understood the message and asked questions. And it opened up an opportunity for us to really dig in and talk about faith and talk about God and how God is so near and is right there in our hearts if we look for him, and if we listen. And so that is something that's so hard. It's really hard to talk about faith with our kids, and especially with our grandkids as well.
He's so abstract and he seems so out there. And does he really have any interest in me? But you have nailed, there was one, in fact, this person I think is both an author and a podcaster. I'll comment. She said, my 4-year-old son absolutely loved God, I Want to Know You. And he says, each page is filled with bite-sized pieces of adventure that are easy for young minds to digest. That's the whole point. I caught on to what God was doing, giving me quite profound spiritual truths, but distilling them in a language that a child can grasp.
Exactly.
And he said the story presents these spiritual concepts in a way is both accessible and relatable to children.
And it's so hard to get complex topics like this to be even relatable to a kid. But the way that you have unfolded this story and from the perspective of a little boy, I think that makes such a difference. So tell us more about your writing process and how this book came to be.
Well, it came to be because that's what God deposited in me. Even like a nanny, I had no idea that was in me. Now I start writing and I would say I'm having a hard time keeping up with me. I didn't know what he put in me like this, but it's just been my way of life relating to him. And then when he's got something on his mind, I try to pick up what that is and go with it. This is what this dad said to the 4-year-old. My son was particularly thrilled by the idea that God isn't far away, but rather close and accessible. Now, I wish I'd have known that as a child.
Me too. Yeah. When I was a kid, it was like, oh, God's watching. If I do something bad, God's watching. And it wasn't that relationship unfolding the way that you are introducing it. And I too wish that I had that introduction in the way that this is introduced to little ones. I think it's the best gift we can give our children is faith, because faith will then, this is my perspective, I know, but if someone has faith, if that child has faith, they have the ability to lean on God. They can be strong. They can persevere. There's so much, like they're not alone and they're not dependent on us because they understand that they can depend on God. So that's so much of the importance of this for me and why I'm so passionate about this book.
And the Lil Kid speaks about God is right inside, and that's where he can go for all his answers.
Yes. How do you envision this book being used by parents and grandparents?
This same person made a comment about, as a parent, I appreciate the meaningful deposits this book makes in a child's heart. It opened up a beautiful dialogue between us. Now, he's talking about a 4-year-old, about faith and spirituality, making it a delightful read for both of us. when they taste the simplicity of this message, I think will help them simplify the gospel and be digestible.
I like that. You said that before to me. You said this book is a taste. Expand on that thought a little more. Does this book give a taste of God?
The way I was raised was God was out there somewhere. And no, personally, I didn't have any idea how I could get him interested in me. And it was good behavior, bad behavior, all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas this is relational. I've heard the phrase so often, a personal relationship with God. But even that's abstract if you distill it into this little child finding a God that thinks he's important and I'm important to God. And so that gives parents a taste of the simplicity of the message.
Yes.
I
experienced the same thing with Kyrie. I could see the wheels spinning as her perspective was shifting about God and about this. And she asked great questions, and we were able to talk about it a little bit. And following up from reading that book, a number of days later, she still drops little things or brings or says something that she remembers from the book. And that in itself is just something that melts my heart to know that message, that little seed was planted and it's growing. She's got her curiosity. She understands that it is relational and that she can build a relationship. And
how old is she?
She's 8. So
that.
Yeah.
The Lord had me put this age range from 4 to 8. I've just quoted what a parent said to his 4-year-old. Now you're speaking of the 8-year-old. And if I talk too much, it's only because I'm excited about what God is doing. That's the motive, because I've never written. I didn't know what I was dropped into, and it was stressful. But I kept holding on because I know what God wants to accomplish. So this is the first book.
Tell me what else is going on. I've been working on another one that's going to be coming soon. Tell us about the second book.
I have to give away a little bit of the first book because God introduces himself to Little Kid as big love. Now he's got to figure out how to live with God inside as a son, just like Jesus lived as the son. So this next book is Big Love, learning to live with God inside. And so again, all the concepts of faith, and grace, and patience have to be distilled into experiential understanding for a child.
Right.
And then the third book is even more abstract because it's going to be called Truth, learning to tell myself the truth, God's truth. How does God see me? How does God help me see others through big love? And the understanding I have is that I don't know one adult that didn't grow up with some kind of lie about themselves. I'm too this. I'm not enough that. I'm so okay. Then it takes years to figure out those were just lies. And they're like barnacles on our back that we have to try to get rid of. And so if we can have a child begin to think, wait a minute, does God think like that? Is that what God says about me?
Right.
And so if we can give them that kind of foundation. So those seems to be the trilogy that is.
Well, it is one of my absolute favorite books, and I am gifting it to a number of family and friends for this Christmas season. So tell us, where can they find out more about you, and where is your book for sale, and how can they connect with you? Because I think what you're doing is amazing, and everybody should follow you and just help cheer you on, because this is a major accomplishment and quite a mission, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, it took me by surprise. I had no idea my life would look like this. Not a
Yeah.
clue. And I'm an octogenarian, so I'm also a late bloomer. Okay.
At the and we'll just say you're somewhere over 80, right? We've got where many people say, "Oh, is it too late for me to do something?" And you just blasted right past that and just said, "God says I need to do this. I'm going to do it." So I'm sorry I interrupted you. Tell us how we
So I have a
where we
website.
could go. Okay,
and
what's
It,
the website?
it is maryalice.thewriter.com.
Perfect. I will
There
post
you'll see Little Kid is introduced. I am introduced. The next book's upcoming, but I also do blogs. Okay, so at this level, I write to make deposits in the hearts of children. And at the risk of sounding corny and too much like Dr. Seuss, but a heart is a heart at any age. Adults need inspiration to their heart. So my blogs are focused on the adult heart, making deposits in the hearts of adults.
So you're saying blog, but I think, are you talking about your video channel?
The blogs end up on YouTube channel, Mary Alice, the writer.
So you're recording videos, and I just found the video channel and I've been following you, and I just love it. Every time I see something new posted, it just makes me smile.
So there are shorts
Absolutely.
on YouTube as well.
Yes,
I also have an Instagram. I am not the least bit tech savvy. It's
Right.
just, but I just, in the great scope of things, if so many children could grow up at a very early age knowing God is important, God thinks I'm important to him. He lives in me, and he'll be there all of my life.
That's amazing. What a blessing that is for kids.
Yes.
For adults, those individuals were saying, I needed to hear this message too. It just brought out a childlike wonder in me when I read it. Well, I know it can do that for others as well. What a great book to read around the holidays, to talk about God and introduce the reason for the season, to introduce a topic in a way that kids can understand, and then to go deeper with it over time. So I think this is great. And your books are available on Amazon. They're at Barnes and Noble. And if you want to know, how can I help Mary Alice? How can I join this mission and this ministry? Then share information about the book. The best thing you can do is buy it, read it, tell others about it, review it, and share information to your social media network about the book. And if it resonates with you the way that it did with me, shout it from the rooftops if you need to, and support her, follow her on social media. So, and just continue to share and do whatever we can to also make that algorithm on Amazon and the algorithm on social media identify, hey, this is something people care about. Because when the algorithm, that it's going to show it to more, right? It's going to show it to more people. And it also helped to inspire Mary Alice to keep writing. Maybe this is more than 3 books.
Oh, you have no idea.
We'll see. I have a feeling there's more inside of you, Mary Alice. And this is just such a wonderful opportunity for me. Thank you so much for being on with me and being here to answer our questions. I am so excited to congratulate you for that #1 bestseller. And I think this is the first of many to come.
Okay. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.